Celtics fans are staring at a roster that might look quiet on the outside, but beneath the surface, something is stirring. The kind of stirring that precedes a storm. Because what if Max Shulga wasn't just a filler for J.D. Davison's spot? What if he's part of something bigger, a carefully calculated series of chess moves that Brad Stevens has kept in his back pocket? As the dust settles on the league's chaotic offseason, Boston hasn't just been waiting, it's been positioning. And if you're only looking for headline trades, you're missing what's really going on. There's a reason the Celtics have kept that final roster spot open. It's not just cap flexibility, it's leverage, it's maneuverability, it's a warning. To the rest of the league, the Celtics haven't made their final move yet. Let's talk about Simons and Niang. On the surface, they're depth guys. In the shadows, they're currency. Packages, they represent a combined salary that could be leveraged into a much bigger fish, if not now, then as soon as the calendar flips past September 7th, when more trade constructions become possible. Under the new CBA rules, that's not a coincidence. That's timing now. Nobody's saying Markkanen or Sabonis are packing their bags for Boston today. But here's the uncomfortable truth for the rest of the East. Boston has cleared the second apron that opens trade structures that were off limits just weeks ago. Brad Stevens didn't just want breathing room, he wanted optionality, and now he has it. Sure, some will say the Celtics won't chase a big name without Tatum, that this season is a placeholder, that there's no point in going all-in when the franchise star is out. But what if that thinking is flawed? What if this is exactly the moment to strike? While other teams exhale and assume Boston is off the board, the Celtics could be hunting quietly, intelligently, preparing a surprise that flips the balance of power back in their favor. And even if a blockbuster doesn't come, there are smaller tremors coming. Xavier Tillman is a contract waiting to be repurposed. George's Niang too. If he shows signs of life early in the season, the Celtics won't waste those deals. They're assets, and that's how Stevens sees them. Ignore the Simons situation. His market is volatile. His role in Boston is undefined. If cap maneuvering becomes a necessity, he's the logical casualty. Not because he failed, but because the team has greater designs that require sacrifice. If a team wants shooting, ball handling, upside, and a digestible contract, Boston has a number to call. Now let's address the elephant in the room, the lack of athleticism. It's easy to say the Celtics have the least athletic frontcourt in the league. But that's like looking at a fighter's jab and ignoring the knockout punch he's hiding. Boston didn't build a dunk contest roster. They built a tactical one. A team that plays the pace game, that executes in the half-court, that punishes mistakes and shrinks space. It suffocates you with intelligence and precision. Josh Minott could emerge as a vertical threat. Derrick White remains an elite rim protector for his position. Jaylen Brown, when healthy, turns defense into offense in seconds. This isn't a team built to sprint. It's a team built to strike when it matters most. And here's something you won't hear on the surface. Boston's flexibility right now is the best it's been in years. By moving off J.D. Davison, they've regained the ability to stack contracts. In a trade, they're no longer limited to 1-for-1 matching. That's enormous. That means creativity. That means optionality. That means threat. Don't sleep on Sam Hauser either. The front office won't move him just to make noise. His contract is gold, cost-controlled for 4 more years, elite floor spacer, and still improving. If he's moved, it won't be for second-round pick and a handshake. It'll be because someone made Boston an offer they couldn't ignore. Then there's Jordan Walsh, rawest piece of this puzzle. One of the most intriguing. If the Celtics choose to cut him to save money, it would signal something seismic. From what we've seen this summer, that seems highly unlikely. He's not just a project anymore, he's a plan. So what's really happening in Boston? Team waiting, watching, poised. Celtics may not have made the flashiest offseason moves, they've quietly built the kind of financial and structural flexibility that can shift a season, or a franchise with a single transaction. The question isn't if Brad Stevens will pull the trigger, it's when. And when he does, it won't be reactionary. It'll be orchestrated. Kind of move that makes sense of all the silence, because in Boston, the loudest moves are often the quietest. Jonathan Kuminga could be the Celtics' fastest path back to a dynasty, and almost no one sees it coming. The Boston Celtics are standing at the edge of something seismic. Most fans are looking backward, clinging to what was lost. But what if? The real question isn't how to salvage what's left, but how to unlock a faster, more dangerous version of the future. What if the key to a new dynasty isn't found in safe moves or minor tweaks, but in one aggressive, bold swing? That swing could have a name. And it's not a name you were expecting. Jonathan Kuminga. In a sea of caution and salary dumps, the Celtics have quietly started a recalibration, not a rebuild. They offloaded key contracts, brought in Anfernee for scoring punch, and maneuvered under the second apron with careful precision. But no one believes this version of the roster is the final draft. That's because Boston isn't aiming for relevance. They're hunting rings, and there's one move that could catapult them from uncertain contender to terrifying juggernaut in one summer. The move: Boston Celtics receive Jonathan Kuminga, Golden State Warriors receive Derrick White. 2031 first-round pick. It's audacious, it's uncomfortable, and it might be exactly what Boston needs. Derrick White is beloved, vital even. He was instrumental in last season's run, but the NBA is cruel to sentiment. Boston's front office knows that keeping White means staying competitive. Trading him could mean flipping the table. That's the line between good teams and great ones. Boston has the guts to walk it. Why Golden State would blink? First, here's the twist. This isn't about Boston being desperate. This is about the Warriors being cornered. Kuminga's future in the Bay is far from secure. As a restricted free agent, his control is limited, but his leverage is growing. He's no longer satisfied with flashes off the bench. He wants primetime minutes and a central role. Boston can offer both. Golden State knows it. Their roster is aging, expensive, and lacking in two-way glue guys. Derrick White, he's exactly what they need to extend Steph Curry's timeline without a total teardown. Plug-and-play defense, elite IQ, proven playoff performer. To all defensive team honors. And a first-round pick sweetens the pot. Meanwhile, Boston would flip the script. Instead of patching holes, they'd inject raw upside and athleticism into a team already brimming with high-Q veterans. At just 22, Kuminga is a force of nature barely contained by structure. He averaged 15.3 points and 4.6 rebounds in a limited role last season, but that doesn't even scratch the surface of his impact. He's explosive, ruthless in transition, fearless at the rim, and has the physical tools to become a nightmare on both ends. What he needs is freedom. And Boston, surprisingly, can give it a bold gamble that could shift the conference. Let's be honest, this trade isn't safe. Boston loses defensive stability on the perimeter by moving White, but what they gain is ceiling. And at this stage of the Jayson Tatum era, chasing ceiling is no longer optional, with Tatum rehabbing and targeting a late-season return. The Celtics would unleash Kuminga next to Jaylen Brown, Simons, and Peyton Pritchard. That's an offense that can burn you. From every angle and in every pace, slow it down. Simons and Brown can work you in the half-court. Speed it up. Kuminga is already gone. He's soaring at the rim while defenders are still turning their heads. And defensively, while Kuminga isn't polished, he's a mold waiting to be shaped. Under Boston's staff and surrounded by gritty perimeter defenders, he could become a switchable anchor. The potential is there. What's missing is the platform. Imagine this. Team in March. Tatum returns. Suddenly, you're looking at a lineup with Tatum, Brown, Simons, and Kuminga. Versatile, explosive, younger, faster, with financial flexibility to add one more key piece at the deadline. That's not a stopgap, that's a foundation. Why now? Because the window doesn't stay open forever. Most fans think Boston's window will reopen when Tatum is healthy. That's a myth. The NBA moves too fast for patience. The East is already shifting under our feet. Milwaukee is aging. Philly is betting everything on Embiid. Miami is stuck. Cleveland and Indiana are on the rise. If Boston wants to dominate the next 3 years, the time to build that version of the roster is today. This is more than a roster shakeup. It's a recalibration of identity. Kuminga represents a transition from conservative roster management to preemptive dominance. Boston isn't trying to win the East. They're trying to crush it before anyone else notices. They've reloaded, a dynasty reboot hiding in plain sight in a league where talent acquisition is everything. Most teams overvalue chemistry and undervalue timing. Boston has both in their grasp. Kuminga is available. Golden State is listening. The price is steep, but the reward might be staggering. This isn't about abandoning the present. It's about accelerating the future. Celtics fans have been waiting for a second banner run in the Tatum era. Dynasties aren't handed out for being close. They're built on risk, on vision, and refusing to settle. Jonathan Kuminga isn't a safe bet, but he might be the most powerful one Boston can make. If the Celtics pull this off, no one in the East will be ready. Jayson Tatum's injury didn't just silence a roaring TD Garden, it sent shockwaves across the entire NBA. In Game 4 of the Eastern Conference semifinals, just as the Boston Celtics began clawing momentum back from a red-hot Knicks squad, Tatum collapsed. No contact, no warning, just agony. The kind that makes everyone, players, coaches, fans, hold their breath for reasons that go beyond basketball. Boston was already battling uphill, facing a Knicks team that wasn't just playing, well, but playing possessed. And yet, just as the tides began to turn, just as the defending champions looked ready to flip the script, the face of the franchise went down. The Celtics didn't just lose a game, they lost their rhythm, their belief, and their axis. What followed wasn't just a playoff exit, it was a psychological fracture. Tatum's injury wasn't just about the pain or the timeline, it represented the fragility of a dynasty in the making. Suddenly, the conversation shifted from repeat banners to rebuild buzz. Pundits called for retooling, others whispered of a reimagined roster, and fans feared a dark chapter just when the book had gotten good. After all, Boston had just conquered the 2023 to 2024 season with authority. They were champions. Now, without their leader, even the regular season looked uncertain. Initial reports confirmed the worst. Tatum was expected to miss a significant chunk of next season, maybe most of it, and just like that, what was supposed to be a dominant title defense turned into a question mark. How long could Jaylen Brown carry the load alone? Could Porzingis stay healthy? Would the supporting cast be enough? For many, it looked like the storm was coming, and Boston had lost its lighthouse. But then something changed, quietly, almost hidden beneath the summer's bigger headlines. A report surfaced that shifted the entire narrative. Steve Bulpett, a veteran reporter with deep Celtics connections, dropped a detail that most fans weren't ready for. At Chris Paul's elite offseason camp, Tatum wasn't limping, wincing, or playing it safe. He was moving smoothly, powerfully, unexpectedly well. He was in great shape and had no issues doing his part at camp, Bulpett wrote. I was kind of shocked at how well he was moving. No headline, no press release. Just a casual observation at a summer workout that could rewrite the Celtics' entire season. What if Tatum isn't out for most of the season? What if the recovery timeline was cautious, but not accurate? What if Boston's most important player is closer to returning than anyone thought and the league has no idea? Suddenly, the puzzle pieces start to align differently. The Celtics didn't just sit back this summer, they made subtle, calculated moves to deepen the bench and protect their core. They added versatile defenders, perimeter shooting, and gritty, two-way players who can hold the fort. Their roster isn't flashy, but it's dangerous. Designed not to dominate early, but to survive long enough for a nuclear weapon to return. Because if Tatum comes back even at 85% before the postseason begins, Boston transforms from underdog to sleeping giant. And that's not hope, that's strategy. The front office knew the risks. They didn't trade future assets, they didn't panic. Instead, they trusted the timeline, not the public one, the internal one, the one only insiders talk about behind closed doors. And that's where the hope lies. Because this isn't about surviving the East, this is about timing the perfect ambush. Can Boston hold the line until their leader returns? That's the question fans should be asking. Because if they do, the NBA may not be ready for what's coming. There's a version of this season where Jayson Tatum misses 60 games. Boston limps into the playoffs as a low seed and gets bounced in the first round. But there's another version, one where Tatum returns with fuel, not rust. The Celtics don't just make the playoffs, they terrify everyone once they're in. The team that looked broken in May becomes the team no one wants to face in April. The league isn't paying attention. Celtics are playing the long game. The storm might have knocked them down, but they never stopped calculating the comeback. And if Tatum returns ahead of schedule, with vengeance on his mind and a healthy roster at his side, it won't be about defending a title. It'll be about taking back what they feel never should have been taken. Celtics may have already made their biggest move of the season, and no one even noticed it wasn't a trade or a signing. It was a man running silently, smoothly, and with purpose on a summer court in California. And when he returns, it won't just be the Celtics who remember what they're capable of. The entire league will.